Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Titan Sports. I'm Enrique Medina.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Ethan Michael.
Hey, I'm Alex Granados.
And I'm Marisa Flores. As always, we're here to get the ball rolling to provide you guys with your weekly sports updates. Welcome to another episode of Titan Sports. Ryan Garcia dropped to one knee in his delayed reaction from a stinging liver shot delivered by the perfectly placed left hand of Gervonta Tank Davis.
Keeping his spotless record, Tank Davis floored Garcia with a KO in the 7th round after a powerful left-hand shot that glazed Garcia's ribs and created a struggle to catch his breath.
Davis claims he thought he was going to get up. However, Garcia proceeded to shake his head, signaling he couldn't get up, while also struggling to stand.
Garcia was almost KO'd in the 2nd round from a well-timed left hand to the face. However, Garcia shot back up after his body hit the canvas, signaling that the shot didn't hurt him.
Garcia will now return to junior welterweight, hoping to chase down his first world championship. Davis, on the other hand, will reach a new stratosphere on both boxing lists of star fighters. However, he is also set to be sentenced on May 5th in Baltimore after pleading guilty to 4 charges in connection with a hit-and-run incident that left 4 people injured, including a pregnant woman in November of 2020.
Now moving on to the NFL. The NFL has suspended 5 players for violation of the league's gambling policy, which included 4 Detroit Lions.
Washington Commanders Shaka Toney and the Detroit Lions Quintez Cephas, Stanley Berryhill, C.J. Moore, and most notably Jameson Williams were those who had been suspended. Williams and Berryhill received 6-game suspensions, while the other 3 were suspended indefinitely until the end of the 2023 season.
The gambling policy prohibits anyone in the NFL from engaging in any form of gambling on the league or in any league facility. These are the first gambling-related bans for players since Calvin Ridley back in the 2022 season.
Williams' suspension is the most significant. Despite coming off a torn ACL, the Lions drafted the former Alabama receiver in the 1st round, hoping he'd be ready for 2023.
After Detroit's breakout season offensively, thanks in large part to offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, they will now have to wait until October to utilize Williams.
After much speculation these last couple of years of where Aaron Rodgers will end up, the next chapter of his career is officially set in stone. 38-year-old will now be quarterback for the New York Jets.
This is no surprise to fans, as the Jets have constantly been mentioned as a potential team in the hunt. Rodgers made his intentions for next season clear when he went on the Pat McAfee show and announced that New York is where he wants to play in the 2023 season.
The deal consisted of the New York Jets sending 2 second-round picks, contingent if Rodgers will play the majority of the games this season. And the deal also included 2 pick swaps later in the draft.
That's right. Through Rodgers' contract, Packers are required to still pay $40 million in wasted salary cap for this upcoming season. An important part of this deal for both teams was agreeing to a deal before the upcoming draft.
This deal sets up both teams for potential playoff contenders. When it comes to Green Bay, all eyes are on Jordan Love, who has been quite efficient when he's gone on the field.
After receiving the title of 4-time MVP for the Packers and leading the team to 11 playoffs, the expectation to do well for New York is even higher than it was before.
Arsenal's Premier League title hopes have suffered another blow. In the final minutes of the game, Arsenal managed 2 late goals, salvaging a point in a 3-3 draw.
Martin Odegaard and Bukayo Saka rescued a point for Arsenal at the Emirates, however, were unable to complete the comeback.
Arsenal saw their lead in the Premier League decrease to 5 points over the champions Manchester City. However, with 2 games in hand, City now controls their own destiny, with them hosting the Gunners tomorrow.
Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta said, quote, "Obviously, the task is even bigger, but now we have to do the simple things better and out our mistakes. We made it very difficult for ourselves, but the way we reacted, I love my players more than ever," end quote.
The draw was especially disappointing considering Southampton remained at the bottom of the table in relegation zone. This game marked Arsenal's 3rd dramatic tie in a row following 2-2 draws against Liverpool and West Ham, where they bottled 2-0 leads twice.
As the pressure of the playoffs continue to boil, conflict is starting to become a factor for who plays and who advances in the playoffs.
That's right. The reputation of controversial players like James Harden, Draymond Green, and Dylan Brooks is leading the league officials to perhaps overreact to hard fouls. An all-time great like LeBron James is guaranteed to attract players who are specifically assigned to make his job more difficult. Starter small forward for the Memphis Grizzlies, Dylan Brooks, Our favorite, I know, is the newest example in this Round 1 series.
There has been a constant back and forth between the two that remained fairly civil up until Game 3, after Brooks reached for the ball and hit James directly in the groin.
A big part of Dylan Brooks' season has been tallying up to the most technical fouls in the league. Even though Brooks and the Grizzlies seem to embrace the bad boy image this season, the 27-year-old has claimed that it's the most media and fans that have created his villain persona and made it seem as though his hit to James in the game was intentional.
When it comes to the Eastern Conference, high-caliber players are still susceptible to missing time for questionable calls. In Game 3 of the Sixers Nets series, 2018 MVP James Harden was ejected for allegedly elbowing a player too hard in the groin when trying to get separation away from his defender. Now, the future Hall of Famer is already known for bending the rule book when it comes to creating space away from his defenders.
Sixers head coach Doc Rivers did not hold back in his criticism of the way the referees have taken control over crucial playoff games so far. The continuous lack of consistency when it comes to these foul calls are causing a big distraction from all of the competitive basketball that's being played.
CSUF softball extended their winning streak this weekend at 8 with a series sweep against UC Santa Barbara. This also marks their 5th straight series win, and now they sit in first place with Long Beach State dropping one game this weekend.
The Titans were once again dominant, outscoring the Gauchos 23-2 between the 3 games. During their second game of the series, the Titans opened the floodgates in the 4th inning, sending 14 batters to the plate and scoring 9 runs, bringing them to the lead of 11-0.
Micah Sutherland, who once again was named Big West Pitcher of the Week for the 3rd straight week, picked up 2 more wins this weekend, including another complete game, striking out 14. Cal State Fullerton also picked up their 1,700th win in program history, becoming the 8th team in NCAA history to do so.
Meanwhile, on the other diamond, CSUF baseball continues to stay hot as they have picked up their 7th straight win and clinched their 8th straight series victory. Our reporter Elmira Darmanian has more details on the team's big win.
After defeating Loyola Marymount University at Goodwin Field, Cal State Fullerton men's baseball team is back in action again. They're about to play 3 conference games against Cal State Bakersfield.
The atmosphere in the stands looks amazing. Fans of all ages came to the Goodwin Field to support the Titans. Despite losing in the beginning of the game, Cal State Fullerton men's baseball team was able to recover by responding in the bottom of the 2nd with 1 run and a sacrifice fly by Zach Liu. With this win, Titans remain at the top of the Big West standings. I had an opportunity to speak to Zach Liu, who brought a great contribution to the game.
Win is a win. We're just looking one pitch at a time, one day at a time, and we're excited for tomorrow. Stuff's going to happen. I made an error that kind of cost us a little bit, but that's why there's 9 innings in a game, and we take it one pitch at a time.
This is it for today, Titans. My name is Elmira Darmanian, signing off with Titan Sports.
Titans baseball turnaround season continues as they hold first place in conference and have already surpassed their win total from last season. They will be in Tempe tonight to take on the Sun Devils for a quick 2-game series before coming back home to host UC San Diego.
Alrighty, stay tuned for our roundtable discussion coming up right after the break.
Hello everyone and welcome back to our roundtable discussion. A lot of topics as always, but I want to briefly go over the Davis and Garcia fight because that one was a big title fight, but I was more concerned about what happened post-fight. I don't know if you guys heard, I think it was a year or two ago, Canelo when he was warning Garcia about De La Hoya and his promotions and how disloyal he can often be. And there were clips, like his coaches weren't there, De La Hoya wasn't there to support him after his fight. So I just want to know your guys' thoughts on that. Do you guys think they should have been there for him at his lowest point just because he didn't win?
Wait, I'm sorry. Is De La Hoya signed? Are they still signed? I thought Tank wasn't signed with Mayweather, and I thought Garcia wasn't with De La Hoya right now. Am I mistaken? Or
De La
He's still
Hoya
under Golden
promoted.
Boy.
he still is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh well, I mean, anybody who watches boxing knows what kind of guy Oscar De La Hoya is. I think it's like this good guy syndrome. It's Golden Boy. I don't think it was ever going to be that close of a fight. And I think the biggest thing that they have going for that fight, to be honest with you, was the fact that their mentors were rivals, right? It's Mayweather against the Golden Boys. And Mayweather and the Money Team and Davis now, they made a fortune off of just killing off all these Golden Boys. And people just want to see him lose. But that's not going to happen with a guy like Ryan Garcia, who's really good at promoting. In his fairness, he's good at the TikTok stuff. He's got a nice smile, but that's it. He was never going to come close to Tank. Tank didn't even look that good, to be honest with you. Tank clearly has stuff outside of the ring right now that he's dealing with, and I could kind of tell, but it didn't even blink like games of Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, I think he needs to leave that promotion immediately, to be honest. Obviously, Canelo, he left De La Hoya a while back, and then he's been in public with his criticism on De La Hoya, saying he doesn't really care about the promotion or promoting his fighters. Obviously, he keeps saying he cares only about partying and drinking, all these other stuff. So I think Garcia should probably leave that promotion eventually. Hopefully he can team up with Eddie Hearn or Bob Arum, which I think are the two best promoters right now in the world. So that's what I hope to see. And he's going to junior welterweight now, so I'm curious to see how he fares there. I don't know if he can fill up his frame for 140, because there are some monsters in that division. So curious to see what happens. Besides that, I'm hoping to see Tank versus Shakur Stevenson. That's probably the best fight to make, besides Lomachenko and Devin Haney, which is happening soon. So I think those two are the best lightweights right now, so I hope to see that very soon.
And look, for me, in terms of boxing, I don't know much, but in terms of this fight, it looked like Tank completely dominated, right? I mean, almost a knockout in that second round, and then I think it was the seventh round where he couldn't get up. It was just absolute dominance. I don't know what else to say about it.
Yeah, it looked like he's never seen anybody, like I said, that has even close to Tank's caliber. So yeah, it was just all hype. That's sort of what you have to do now when it comes to creating a fight now. That's why all these TikTok fights are doing so much better, I feel like, because like guys like Ryan Garcia they're cheesing and they're just glowing people up, but it's not going to fool anybody who watches boxing.
That's one thing I kind of really liked about this fight, though, that you alluded to, is their promoters. They kind of gave it that sense of old boxing, because I was personally getting really tired of these influencers. Boxing has just become way more accessible to people like these influencers, but I mean, you have Logan Paul who take it to their advantage and break into the WWE, which I think is a better fit for him there. But yeah, I think in terms of this fight, it just felt more like, I don't know, like an old boxing match rather than a recent influencer one.
Yeah, absolutely. And wait, the Paul brothers are going UFC now?
No.
WWE.
Oh, okay, that's okay. All right,
Logan
that's better.
is
yeah,
out.
okay,
Logan
all right,
is
all
out.
right, all
More
right.
sense.
WWE. Sorry, did I say UFC?
I don't know. I was just
Oh,
like,
sorry.
no,
I
what's
meant WWE.
Okay, yeah, no.
Misheard.
But on to the next topic, we have the NBA playoffs that we've been talking about for a while. And I want to allude to some big upsets, because in one of our roundtable discussions, we talked about upsets. And right now, the play-in tournament winners are playing fairly well. I mean, you have Miami, who's leading the Bucks right now. Giannis is on injury protocol, yes, but they are doing very well to their advantage. And you have the Lakers right now, who are up on the Grizzlies, which I know you alluded to would happen and predicted. So what do you guys think of the playoffs so far? Do you think these play-in tournament winners are going to go on and keep the streak going?
Well, in the playoffs, it's all about who's the hottest and who's the healthiest, right? So Grizzlies and Bucks are very hurt. Grizzlies don't have their center or their backup center, Clark, who's very good off the bench. Energizer Bunny helps that team. So when you can't have guys who can help with Anthony Davis, and then a guy like LeBron, who's like one of the best to ever drive to the hole, if not the best. So you're in trouble. And then also John Morant, he's playing really well, but he's still hurt. So, and then Giannis obviously has a hurt back, but he's going to try to play. One guy I got to shout out though, Jimmy Buckets. Oh yeah. Because he's the real deal. Because he's more of a defensive player. That's the crazy thing about it. And he just scored 56 all-time. He's on the list of the short list of all-time highest scoring for a playoff game. He's one of those guys who's underground. You know, he's grinding. He's waking up at 4 a.m. every day, Mamba style, and he's keeping it low key because he just wants to win. All these guys say they want to win, but they do all this other stuff that stops them from winning. But Jimmy Buckets is the real deal. He's not the most marketable guy. You know, he's going to say what he feels. He's not like Steph Curry or LeBron or any of these guys who are just more easygoing. You know, Jimmy Butler is authentic. He's independent, and unfortunately, that rubs people the wrong way sometimes in this world we live in. But I hopefully he's getting the recognition he deserves because we haven't seen a player or these players that have put up a playoff runs like he has. You know, his career stats may not line up with all these Hall of Famers, but none of these guys have had nearly as much meaningful games as Jimmy Butler in the playoffs. So that guy's a Hall of Famer, right. No question.
Sometimes there's just those guys that step up in the big moment, and we've talked about Randy Arozarena so many times in Major League Baseball. But yeah, I mean, you saw what he did in the bubble back in 2020. It's the exact same thing he's doing now, and it's pretty incredible to watch because he's putting in like almost these Michael Jordan type performances for the Heat, and the Heat are not supposed to be there. They're not supposed to be leading 3-1.
Not at all.
And we know that Giannis has been hurt, and that's kind of a reason why they're kind of in that situation. But still, at the same time, they're a phenomenal team, and they're there for a reason. They're up 3-1 for a reason. Do we think they could get the job done?
They could beat the Bucks because they're up 3-1, but I don't see that team. Honestly, that team is not that good in my opinion because I think it's really just him going off because Bam is not being aggressive offensively. He has not become the offensive player that I thought he was going to be. He's still a great defensive player and a future defensive player of the year. But that whole team, it just don't have guys that can create their own shot. And then you got Tyler Hero, 6th man of the year last year, who's out now. So they're not going to be able to sustain that unless Jimmy Butler just becomes the GOAT or whatever for these last couple of months. So, they might be able to beat the Bucks, but they're not going to go far.
And what have you been thinking? Because I know you personally predicted this whole series with the Grizzlies and LeBron. So I just want to get your take as to how you think the Lakers have been holding up against the Grizzlies so far.
I mean, like I said from the beginning, they were missing their center, backup center, so that was going to be an advantage right away with AD. Although AD hasn't been as dominant as I thought he would, you're seeing all the other pieces contribute. You're seeing Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura playing out of their minds. So also, even though John Morant is somewhat hurt, you notice they play way better when he's not on the court. It's kind of weird. And also when he's on the court, the Lakers are playing their best basketball against them. So it's not an indictment on him, but two things can be true. Ja is a really great player. He's your franchise player, but he's a liability defensively, and you're not as good defensively as a unit when he's on the court as well.
True. I'm absolutely glad, though, that you gave contribution to AR, Austin Reeves, where it's due, because he has put on huge games for the Lakers, not even just in the playoffs, though. I think in the regular season,
down
too.
the stretch.
Exactly.
Phenomenal.
He's been a really good catalyst for that team. And I think going into the playoffs, that's been my whole thing of them, as I told you. AD, for me, he's not as consistent as I would like him to be, so that was my only concern. And I thought the only way they could take the series was if you have AR and D'Angelo Russell really step up in terms of defense, too, for the team. And in terms of assisting LeBron on the court, I think they really utilize their tools well. And I think it's going to your credit, like you said, really take them far in the series against Memphis. But I also want to allude to Dillon Brooks and a little bit of what was going on there, because he poked the bear, he did, and the bear poked back, and he shut him down completely. So do you guys think Dillon Brooks was out of line a little bit in terms of saying that against a Hall of Famer?
No,
let's be honest.
No, I don't think it's out of line. I think it's competition. Two things can be right, though. I don't think it was wise, but also he's also not playing that well, unfortunately. Like, he's not really backing it up. If he hit open threes, I would be defending this guy way more, but he's not. He's sort of, it happens, you know, some people just, they talk a lot of talk and then they just get in their own head and they don't perform. It happens. But, you know, he needs to step in and hit open threes. If they hit open threes, they'd be winning the series right now. So he's kind of costing his team in that regard.
Yeah, they're absolutely not shooting as well as I thought they would, because like you said, they seem to have been playing better without Ja in terms on the court. And in this last game too, I was expecting Ja to bounce back. He played a long time, to his credit. He did, off of that injury, but I expected his shooting to be a lot better, I think, than it was. I expected him to make a really big comeback on the court, and I didn't really get to see that from him. And I think in the playoffs, in terms of these injuries, it has really thrown off everyone's brackets. I mean, you talk about all these upsets with Giannis, with Hero, because that whole series could have been completely different. And then you have other MVPs like DeMar DeRozan's daughter, who would have known if she was at the game, could have completely sent the Trailblazers even further. But I don't know. I think this whole playoff series has been crazy. And while the Miami Heat and the Lakers have the advantage, I think things like injuries and that we've seen so far, things like that make the playoffs still up in the air, even though they have these advantages, because you have the Kings and the Warriors right now who are still going neck and neck, even though Sacramento had a 2-0 lead and they blew that up. So I want to know, actually they played recently too, so we didn't really get to talk about them during our main portion of the show, but what did you guys think of that, blowing that lead, because they tied the series now?
Well, like I said last week, I mean, they're the scariest team. The Warriors are the scariest team because they've done it before and they can turn it on. And, you know, the scary teams are the ones that can just get hot and just go on runs. And obviously the Splash Bros can do that. I think the biggest thing for them was the chemistry thing with obviously Poole in the beginning of the season with Draymond getting in the fight. But then now with that Andrew Wiggins thing, he missed time right before the playoffs, and it was a mental thing, something going on in his personal life. So it looks like they're turning that around, but they're the scariest team by far. And if they win the Kings, I'm saying they're going to go to the finals again.
Yeah, I think the Kings really blew it by not winning Game 3. No Draymond, no Gary Payton. That was their opportunity to seize the whole series, kill the Warriors completely off 3-0, and they blew it. Now we're back at 2-2, so I don't have faith in them winning the series anymore. Warriors should go up 3-2. What is it, Wednesday night, I believe? So that's how I see it right now.
And let's be honest here, when it comes down to winning championships and championship caliber teams, you have to win on the road. That's exactly what the Warriors have done so many countless times. And Sacramento, I mean, I know it's their first time in the playoffs in, almost 15 years, but you have to win on the road, especially when Draymond is out. You know, you have to take advantage of that.
No, absolutely. And I think I alluded earlier to the Kings are a young and scrappy team, so they've been keeping it close to their credit, because in this last game, I think if the ball had went to anyone but Barnes, the game might have been over. Someone else might have made that three, because Barnes, let's be honest, on the Kings, he's not their best shooter. So I think as soon as the ball went to him, I knew the Warriors sealed the game and they had it in the bag. But I think, like I said, they're a young and scrappy team. They've been really keeping it close, and their defense has been amazing on Steph Curry. Steph has been Steph. He's still been able to get around it and do him, but they've really been holding up for a team that we haven't really seen make it to the playoffs in a very long time.
Well, I think we were saying earlier with the injuries, you know, Fox is out now with his hand, or I mean, he might be out. So that's looking awful, because the Kings, I don't even know who have guys who can create their own shot, and that's what you need in the playoffs. You need guys when it gets, you know, crunch time and it goes half court. You need guys who can create their own shot, because these little gimmicky plays don't work, especially when you're in a series when the teams figure each other out. You need guys who can just create a shot like KD or somebody like that.
Right, exactly. And well, KD also has lengthy arms, probably the longest arms in the league. So that's just, he creates space anywhere he goes, let's be honest. So we didn't really get to talk about Aaron Rodgers, I know. Do you want to say anything about it real quick before we close?
Oh, yes. I'm completely happy. You guys know I'm a Bears fan, so, you know, I've been waiting for this moment for years and years. I mean, the NFC North now could really go to anybody. It could be the Vikings. They're probably the best on paper at the moment. The Lions and the Bears have good futures. The Packers, you never know how Jordan Love might play. He might be exactly the guy they needed and the switch they needed in that franchise, but who knows? The NFC North, it's going to be exciting times.
Right.
Exciting times.
I think everyone was expecting it, let's be honest. I think he's in the right spot now.
Jets will not finish better than third. Put that down.
All right,
Wow.
exactly.
All right, Titans. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I'm Enrique Medina.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in, guys. I'm Ethan Michael.
See you again. I'm Alex Granados.
Thank you guys for joining us. I'm Marisa Flores. As always, go ahead and give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter if you haven't already at CSUF Titan Sports to keep you updated on all things sports. Thanks for joining us.